From the VR Proud Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jesse Gunkel. Well, here we go again. It wasn't long, but we're already back on Tropics Watch. Earlier today, we've got Invest 90 went to Tropical Depression 22. And as they flew out there, the Hurricane Hunter aircraft, they did find a center of circulation. A little bit elongated, but the key is they had enough organization out there to call it a tropical depression with winds sustained at 35 miles per hour heading northeast at 3. So again, this is a very slow moving system, and we all know that slow moving systems in the Gulf of Mexico at this time of the year, that's never a good thing, because that means everything can come into play over the next couple days and possible weeks with this system, because again, some models are indicating that we could be dealing with this system not this weekend, but maybe next weekend. So think about that. As we head into the upcoming weekend, again, we should have a relatively decent forecast. So here's what we got going on with the latest track as of 10 o'clock. You see that now 22 is expected to become a tropical storm as soon as tomorrow, which then it would be named Wilfred. And by the weekend, at least Sunday, we could be looking at a Category 1 hurricane out there with winds around 75 miles per hour. And then eventually from that point, well, again, hopefully a little bit of weakening as it starts to make more of a northwestern turn. Now, a lot of uncertainty with this system, not only on the track, the intensity, and really the time of arrival for this system, because models seem to be all over the place. And what we're getting here is that the only thing we really know is that this is going to be a slow mover and it's going to continue to float around. When does it make that westward turn? We've got a ridge out east that's going to eventually push it towards Mexico and the southern tip of Texas. But again, that could happen a little bit later. Also, we've got a cold front driving into the area. That should eventually bring in some dry and some stable air to hopefully kind of weaken the system at the tail end. But again, all of this is timing. If this is a slow mover and it takes, a couple days to even get into the central Gulf, well, guess what? That front driving southbound could dissipate and weaken and fall apart, erode. And guess what? This system could slide directly underneath it. So we've got a lot to really kind of focus on in the coming days. I think at least, again, for this weekend, we should be fine. But if that turn is a little bit later and it's somewhere near the northern Gulf before it heads west, some of those outer rain bands could be hitting our coastline maybe Sunday and Monday, bringing us some additional rain. So as you see here, the winds are sustained right now at 35, some gusts up to about 45. The pressure is sitting at 1005, and then you see here heading northeast at 3 miles per hour. So here are the current tropical models. Take this with a grain of salt, just because, as you can see, they're all over the place at this point. So again, what we're kind of following is a consensus, and that's where the current National Hurricane Track is going with this system right now. And we kind of see that a little bit of a westward turn in this picture. You can kind of see how it slides a little bit here towards where it kind of starts to make central Gulf, and then it starts to make more of a westward turn, and then it kind of hooks a little bit, some kind of showing it further south, some north. And that's why that cone, you remember how big it was at the end, how wide? Well, that was showing you that there's a ton of uncertainty, because you're technically talking anywhere from a point over here to a point way down here, that it could fluctuate either east or either right or left, obviously, with this system. So I just want to show you some of these models out here just to give you an idea of what we're talking about and why this could be something to deal with. For us, maybe not this weekend, but potentially middle and end of next weekend. And as you see here, again, this is our in-house model showing a couple showers near the coast, but then it starts to make that westward bend. And with that being said, it's a little bit closer to the northern Gulf. We get some of those showers, some rain even in the capital area heading into your Saturday. That's the difference out there compared to other models where it keeps it a little bit further south. And yes, we could be seeing rain throughout the entire weekend. Again, other models, this is the European, and you see that it's got more rain moving in, heading into next week. So we're talking Monday, Tuesday, could quickly elevate our rain chances, some of those outer bands. Obviously, I think this system is probably going to be pretty lopsided for most of it until it kind of intensifies, possibly up to hurricane strength. So I think that means most of the rainfall could be displaced from the center, a couple miles in fact. And really that's where we're going to see a lot of that action, kind of an asymmetrical system. Now again, it does look like it's a little bit stronger, southern Texas, maybe south of Corpus Christi, but then notice what happens. It floats back out into the Gulf. Again, there's a period where we see some steering winds early on, driving it northbound and in pushing it towards the west. Then that front keeps and traps a lot of that moisture south of it, which is good. And I think that front should make it to the Gulf, maybe in a few miles. And that's going to be good for us because that should keep us dry through the weekend. But then once that front disappears, there's the lack of steering wind. And you can see this system kind of float back towards the northeast with another trough kind of digging in from the west. And that's what could drive the system back towards us. You see the time of arrival. We're talking Thursday morning. So 1 week from today, we could be dealing with potentially a tropical storm, maybe even a weak hurricane at this point. So I think the takeaway you can see here, it encompasses much of the Gulf. Heavy rain totals. Current estimates are 15 plus in some locations just off the coast of Texas. Now again, that all depends on the track. So once again, also take this with a grain of salt because that could definitely change over the coming days. So key here is we are in the peak of hurricane season, and yes, you can see that anything can happen. What I'm getting at is anyone in northern Mexico, the western Gulf, and even the northern Gulf should monitor the progress of this system for the next 3 to maybe even 10 days because that's how long it could take to move into, say, portions of Texas or possibly even Louisiana at this point. Our next named storm would be Wilfred. After that, we move into the Greek alphabet, Alpha, Beta, Gamma, and so on. So here is the deal. This is what we've got going on for us right now. I do want to point out, again, if that front pushes through, you can see what the 7-day forecast is going to look like at this point, and it does look a little bit drier for us. In fact, pretty comfortable out there as our temperatures drop below normal. Highs will sit in the low to mid 80s out there, and we'll see those overnight lows even sink into the 60s out there. But moving into next week, we could be seeing late Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday, Thursday. We could really see those rain chances quickly jump depending on the track of, at that point, probably tropical storm Wilfred or maybe even Hurricane Wilfred by the weekend. So a lot to take in, obviously, at this point. And I know it's the last thing anybody wants to see, the potential concern that something could move this direction. I also want to point out there could be nothing. There still is the chance that this system could fall apart. We could see some dry air kind of mix into the system at some point, a little bit of shear kind of battling this system at some point, and that seems like that could be a possibility along the western side of the Gulf. So there are a lot of scenarios with this current system, and the key here is trust reliable sources and make sure you're paying attention. Make sure you download our free BR Proud app for the very latest, and we're going to continue to give you updates, obviously, throughout the weekend and as we head into early next week. And we've got plenty of newscasts out there to get all your important information out there. So again, stay prepared, stay alert, and in the worst case scenario here, just in case you have to put it into action, just be ready to go. Again, from Storm Tracker 33 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jesse Gunkel.